So yesterday we talked about Grythion, one of the new bosses for the Doom Tower. There is a second one, he's called IRAGOTH, and he's actually a little bit more annoying than Grythion, but I still found a way to beat him on the hard Doom Tower, floor 120. So let's jump right into today's video. Alright, so let's first start by talking about his skills a little bit, so I may explain what I found to be the most annoying with this boss. Therefore, you'll understand a little bit better why I built the team that I built to beat him on auto. Alright, so he will open up with his A3, which is attacks all enemies, puts all enemy skills on cooldown, and he's really fast. I mean like 250 speed for the floor 120, and then he's going to follow up with his A4 or the passive, or he's basically going to summon 3 minions. And here's the problem with this: if you don't kill them, he's going to be basically getting the Eternal Rage buff, which is going to make him way more powerful, and he's going to basically almost one-shot your champions. So bringing decreased attack on an A1 is kind of really important, so you can mitigate some of the damage, but also bringing enough damage for you to kill those minions is a way to go. Obviously, HP burn is also pretty good because there's a couple minions plus himself. Therefore, all those HP burn ticks will help to kill this boss. That's basically the rundown of the skills. There's more to it, but this is the gist of it. So now let's go check out a run, which was very hard to do without some key champions here, right? So Drexstar for HP burn is pretty much a guarantee, right? You're gonna get this champion. Salvage Rates, you have her as well. Doom Priest you need to pull. Then we have a Paidma. She's one of my better decrease attack A1 champions. You could use other ones, but it's the fact that this is an AoE decrease attack A1, which is kind of really important because those minions can actually hurt you quite a bit as well. And then we have a Martyr in the lead. That is for the increased defense aura, the increased defense buff, but also the decreased defense to apply on the boss. And if you manage to come out of the block cooldowns of the skills, right, it's not easy to do. It does require some timing, which doesn't always happen on auto. Then you are able to go into counter attack, and that is also going to help out quite a bit. We only have Doom Priest to cleanse the debuffs, and although there's only the block cooldown skills from the boss himself, you also have the decreased defense and a provoke from the minions. So sometimes it's not quite enough. It's all about, like I said, timing, which doesn't always happen. But this is one example of a run that kind of did work out. I'm going to say this is under 50% success rate for the time being. But for now, I just wanted to have at least a working model to beat this boss. So you see right there, we placed the decreased attack. Again, it's on the A1 because don't forget, we're not doing our skills until we come out of the block cooldown skills. And you need to kill the minions to trigger this right there. This will reset our skills, and then we can finally, hopefully, cleanse, because now we just got the block cooldown skills from the boss, and now we can finally start doing some skills, right? You saw right there, we got some stuns on those minions, which is what we want. There we got some provokes, so now we're getting control of this fight. But if this doesn't happen in the beginning, you're most likely going to wipe, because you won't be able to deal enough damage to kill those minions. This is basically it for the entire fight. So as long as you manage to keep killing the minions, you're going to be good. You're going to be all right. What I also found interesting here is that sometimes your champions will not always target the same minion. Of course, sometimes because let's say there's a provoke or something, but that meant so that they weren't exactly killing the minions on time before he would come back around to his skill, which will do the Eternal Rage. So that's your biggest concern. If the Eternal Rage buff goes onto this boss, it can't be removed, you're gonna probably wipe. All right, so this is how I made it work. We're gonna fast forward a little bit because it's basically this the entire fight. I do end up sometimes coming close to dying. I have lost a champion or two before. He does heal himself sometimes. Again, maybe I could optimize this gear to be a little bit better, but this was put together last night on stream, a little bit last minute. After using some examples, I'm not gonna lie, I did use some examples of what was already done on the test server. So I will give a shout out to Farbstoff, who actually has the fastest time on the test server. But then again, all the fastest times have a Krisk in their teams. I don't have Krisk, I have Martyr. In a sense, she's, you know, somewhat good enough for this, but of course, if you have Krisk, Don't forget the passive will never go on cooldown, therefore this is a lot easier, but we got a time of 5 minutes and 40 seconds, so now let's go check out the champion builds. Starting with a Dregstar, a key component to the Doom Tower, at least for me, and on the test server I decided to put an Avenging set on him. I would say probably stick to a Lifesteal set. It's probably going to be as effective, if not more. He doesn't heal himself quite as much as I thought he would from the A1, but then again, his offensive stats are not exactly crazy on my test server here. So as for the individual pieces, you see them right there: defense, accuracy, of course, for the banner. So total stats: 4.4k defense, 210 speed, 54% crit rate, too low, 123% crit damage, too low, 364 accuracy. We're gonna say good enough. As for the skills, they are all done on the test server, but not on the live server, so it might be a little bit harder. And then for the masteries, we have War Master for the tier 6, which is pretty important if you're going to rely on this to deal some damage. I think this is the way to go. Don't really go for Helm Smasher. Then we have the most amazing, literally free champion you will get in this game, which is Salve the Drakes. She is still in a relentless set. I've shown her many times before, but I'll do it again. What's interesting is that she's currently different on the live server, so I might have to tweak her gear yet again to make her a little bit tougher. As for the individual pieces, you see them right there. We do have an accuracy banner, so total stats, we're looking at 260 speed, so she's the only one that goes before the boss, which doesn't exactly do much for us. You can't place the decreased speed on this boss, and you cannot decrease the turn meter, which means her A1 is almost a little bit useless, and she's not going to open up with the AoE because the minions are not already there. All right, as for the accuracy, not quite enough. More would always be a little bit better. As for the skills, they are all done. And then for the masteries here, we have War Master for the tier 6 into a sort of like counter-attack type of build with Cycle of Revenge to take a couple more turns. Then we have a Martyr. Now this is an S tier champion, not easy to get. I'm gonna try and work without Martyr eventually, but she is on my account. She was built for the clan boss, but I did have to seriously tweak her gear for this to work. She is still in lifesteal. That is because of my original clan boss team. Here are the individual pieces real quick for you guys. We have 2 pieces of defense with some crit damage gloves, a defense % chest, and we have some speed boots. I had to boost up her speed by quite a bit. I used to run defense % boots on this champion, but I found that a little bit more speed against this boss was actually a little bit better. So we have 205, 4.1k defense, which is kind of low. 66% crit rate, could be a lot higher. 200% crit damage, kind of good. And then we have 300 accuracy, again maybe a little bit too low. So as you can see, a lot of optimization is still needed. All the skills are done. Then for the masteries, same concept here: War Master for the tier 6 into a typical counter-attack build on the defense tree. Then we have Padma, who actually just took a part on the live server, but now I realize that she might actually be really clutch for this. You can also work with a Maneater, which I kind of just pulled, so I might have 2 options here. I'll see which one I decide to build and work with the most, but I also like Padma because she has an AoE, which is kind of good because you can deal with the minions a little bit easier because of this. So here are the individual pieces. Same thing, I had to increase her stats by quite a bit. I was a little bit last minute, like I said on the stream last night. I went with crit rate gloves. You need 100% crit rate on this champion, defense % chest and defense % boots, but she is relatively fast. We have a flat defense, and then accuracy. She's at 200 speed, 4k attack only, 120% crit rate, way too much. Again, I'm not trying to do this perfectly here. 126% crit damage, too low, but enough accuracy for this to work. As for the skills, they are all done, but this is what I meant. This is an AoE decreased attack A1, 100% chance of working, and it will go on all enemies if this attack is critical, so you certainly want to ensure you have that on her. And then we have an AoE right there, and this here will remove all buffs from the target. Not exactly useful for this fight. Same thing for the masteries: War Master and a typical counterattack build for the defense tree. And finally, we have a trusty Doom Priest. She's also been pretty clutch for the Doom Tower. I just changed her on the live server, which I now kind of regret, but I didn't really have a choice for my unkillable clan boss team. I said this before, so I'm gonna have to tweak her gear on the live, but she's basically now tougher here, right? She's a lot tougher on the test server. We have relentless gear on her, also really important, with some speed boots, defense % chest, HP % gloves, HP, and then we have a defense banner. Total stats: 233 speed, still slower than this boss. We have 50% crit rate. We kind of don't really care about her offensive stats. I think, to be honest, it's all about just her taking more turns with that passive, basically, right? Which is this right here, which will heal us, also remove one random debuff from them at the start of this champion's turn, which is basically how many ever stacks there is. It is going to remove this, so it does come in really handy, especially if she gets an extra turn proc. It's going to entirely cleanse your team, which is great. We have increased attack. Don't really care too much about this. Increased crit rate, I suppose that can help every now and then. And then for the masteries, same thing yet again. We have War Master for the tier 6 into a typical counter attack on the defense tree. So guys, there you have it. That's the quick rundown of the team that I used to get this done. Again, this is not necessarily my final team, but you have a working model. And then here's a quick rundown of the global teams. We have, okay, Farbstaff here got an even better time now. We have Iron Brago, Lugan the Steadfast. Interesting. We do have a Krisk, and then we have Doom Priest and Dregstar. So Iron Brago and Lugan I have as well. I might be able to play with this. We have a Sifi here from, I think this is probably Murder Inc. And this is what I meant here. This was almost very accessible with Iron Brago, Sal the Drakes, Doom Priest, Dregstar, but then there's that Krisk. We want to see if we can get rid of this champion and have something that's a little bit more accessible to everyone. So guys, there you have it, the quick rundown of how we've dealt with the last boss of the hard Doom Tower for this new rotation. Let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys later.